In a quiet Atlanta neighborhood, a routine traffic stop turned into a nightmare when a police officer's unthinkable act of violence against a pregnant black woman sparked outrage and set her husband on a path to justice that no one saw coming. Script: third-person narrative. It was a warm July evening in Atlanta, Georgia, in 2024, when Aisha Thompson and her husband, Marcus, were driving home from a prenatal checkup. Aisha, 7 months pregnant with their first child, was glowing with anticipation. Marcus, a high school math teacher, kept one hand on the wheel and the other resting gently on Aisha's knee, their conversation filled with dreams about their soon-to-be-born daughter. The couple had spent the day discussing baby names and planning the nursery, their hearts full of hope. But that hope would soon be shattered in a way neither could have imagined. As they turned onto their street, blue lights flashed in the rearview mirror. Marcus glanced at Aisha, his brow furrowing. He hadn't been speeding, and their car was in perfect condition: new tires, valid tags, no broken lights. He pulled over carefully, his hand steady, but his mind racing. Aisha, always the calm one, placed a hand on his arm. "It's probably nothing, babe. Just stay cool," she said softly, though her voice carried a trace of unease. They'd both heard too many stories, seen too many videos. They knew the unspoken rules. Keep your hands visible, stay polite, don't make sudden moves. The officer approached the driver's side window, his flashlight glaring into the car. Officer Daniel Hargrove, a 15-year veteran of the Atlanta Police Department, stood tall and broad-shouldered, his face set in a hard line. Marcus lowered the window, his driver's license already in hand. "Good evening, officer," he said, his tone measured. "Is there a problem?" Hargrove didn't answer right away. He shone the flashlight directly into Marcus's eyes, then swung it toward Aisha, lingering on her rounded belly. "Where you folks headed?" he asked, his voice clipped, almost accusatory. Marcus explained they were coming from a doctor's appointment and lived just a block away. Hargrove's eyes narrowed. "You sure about that? This car doesn't look like it belongs around here." Marcus felt a familiar knot tighten in his stomach. The car, a modest 2023 Honda Accord, was theirs, paid off with their savings. But Hargrove's tone carried an implication they'd heard before, one that questioned their right to exist in their own neighborhood. Aisha, sensing the tension, spoke up gently. "Officer, we live right up the street. We've got all our paperwork if you need to see it." Hargrove's gaze snapped to her. "I didn't ask you to speak," he said sharply. Aisha froze, her hand instinctively moving to her belly. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice steady. "Sir, we're just trying to get home. Can you tell us why you pulled us over?" The officer smirked, stepping closer to the car. "You got a tail light out. And I don't like your attitude." Marcus knew that wasn't true. He'd checked the car himself that morning. But he didn't argue. He handed over his license and registration, his movements slow and deliberate. Hargrove snatched the documents and walked back to his cruiser, leaving the couple in uneasy silence. Minutes passed, each one stretching longer than the last. Aisha whispered, "Something's not right, Marcus." He nodded, his eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. When Hargrove returned, his demeanor had shifted from cold to outright hostile. "Step out of the vehicle," he ordered Marcus.
"Now."
Marcus hesitated. "Sir, can you tell me what this is about?" he asked, keeping his hands on the wheel. Hargrove's hand moved to his holster. "I said get out. Don't make me repeat myself." Aisha's breath hitched, and she reached for Marcus's arm. "Please, officer, he's not doing anything wrong," she said, her voice trembling. Hargrove's attention snapped to Aisha again. "You need to shut up or you're next," he barked. Marcus's heart pounded, but he complied, stepping out of the car with his hands raised. Hargrove shoved him against the vehicle, patting him down roughly. "You people always think you can talk back," the officer muttered under his breath, loud enough for Marcus to hear. The words hit like a punch, but Marcus stayed silent, his mind racing with fear for Aisha and their unborn child. Aisha, watching from the passenger seat, couldn't stay quiet any longer. "He's not resisting." "Why are you doing this?" she called out, her voice breaking with emotion. Hargrove spun around, his face contorted with anger. "I told you to shut up," he shouted, storming toward her side of the car. Before Marcus could react, Hargrove yanked open Aisha's door and grabbed her arm, pulling her out with force. "Stop. She's pregnant," Marcus yelled, stepping forward. Hargrove turned, his hand still gripping Aisha, and shoved Marcus back against the car. "Stay where you are," he barked. Aisha, struggling to keep her balance, pleaded, "Please, I'm 7 months pregnant. Don't do this." But Hargrove wasn't listening. In a moment that would haunt Marcus for years,